Welcome back, high achiever. If you're here, it means you know that simply trying harder isn't the answer to burnout. Today, we are doing the full, unabridged deep dive into one of the most critical concepts in performance psychology, cognitive load theory. At its core, this isn't about how smart you are. It's about managing your brain's limited processing power, your working memory. Think of it as your mental CPU. Your working memory is fantastic. It lets you juggle multiple ideas, like following a complex argument or solving a math problem in your head. But here's the psychological trap: we treat it like an infinite resource. We think that just because we can multitask, that we should. And that's where the burnout starts. Cognitive load theory tells us that your capacity is finite. Every piece of junk data, every notification, every half-formed thought, slows down the system. The key distinction here is between intrinsic load, which is the complexity of the material itself, and extraneous load. Extraneous load is the junk. It's the unnecessary effort your brain spends trying to organize a poorly designed meeting, or remembering where you put your keys while simultaneously thinking about dinner. Our goal, therefore, is not to increase capacity because genetics set those limits, but to drastically reduce the extraneous load. This brings us to the single most actionable hack in performance psychology: externalizing memory. What does that mean? It means you must never rely on pure recall for temporary information. Never trust your brain to be the filing cabinet. If you have an idea, write it down. If you need to remember a list, groceries, names, tasks, it goes into an external system immediately. This isn't just about organization. It's a psychological act of resource management. You are consciously offloading the burden. When you write it down, your prefrontal cortex gets to do what it was meant to do: process. It frees up the bandwidth. Think about meeting notes. If you are trying to remember every single thing said, your working memory capacity plummets. You become passive. Instead, you adopt the capture a mindset. Your job is not to remember everything, your job is to capture it all. This shifts you from a passive receiver to an active processor. You are engaging in higher order thinking. Let's talk about digital clutter. Your phone is a massive source of extraneous load. Every notification pulls you out of deep work. It creates what behavioral scientists call attention residue. Attention residue is the cognitive cost of switching tasks. Even if you just glance at an email, your brain spends time trying to reorient itself. The hack here is batching. Don't check email every 5 minutes. Dedicate specific, limited blocks of time for communication. Treat your focus like a finite battery. You don't want to drain it in tiny, scattered bursts. Another area of high load is decision fatigue. Every minor choice, what to wear, what to eat, which email to answer first, drains your mental reserves. The solution? Automate or standardize. Create routines for low-stakes decisions. This is how high performers conserve energy. Let's talk about physical environment. Your workspace is not just where you work, it's an extension of your cognitive load. Clutter is a visual distraction. It forces your brain to process irrelevant information, adding unnecessary load. The principle is radical minimalism. Only keep what you need for the task at hand. Everything else must be filed away. Now, let's talk about the power of preloading. Before you tackle a complex task, spend 5 minutes reviewing all necessary materials. This process is called priming. You are giving your working memory the necessary scaffolding so that when the real load hits, you aren't scrambling for context. Remember this core principle: if it doesn't need to be in your head right now, it needs to be written down. Period. Use digital tools for data storage, physical notebooks for rapid addition, and voice recorders for meeting capture. This isn't just productivity advice, it is self-respect. It's respecting the finite capacity of your most valuable tool. Mastering cognitive load is mastering focus. It's about creating systems that support your mind, rather than fighting against its limitations. Start small. Identify one area, maybe email checking, and apply the externalization principle there for a week. Consistency is key. These hacks are not one-time fixes, they are new operating procedures for your brain. Now go forth. Offload the junk. Optimize that CPU. And watch how much more complex information you can process without burning out.